Hi everyone, welcome to part 9 of the Trumpeter U552 U-boat build. It's been a bit of a delay since part 8 because of computer issues and can't get any building and filming done, so I've had to wait until it's all been fixed. But here we are, here it is, this bit, the conning tower. Yeah, it's been a bit of decision making to have to be done, how we're going to do it, what we're going to leave clear, what we're going to leave paint, what we're going to paint. But now you can go along and see how we got it all built and how we got it all finished. Go and have a look. See you in a moment. Alright then, just before we get into the build of the conning tower, I thought I'd show you what I've been getting up to while I haven't been able to film. I've been sat around. I've got on and finished the last compartment in the boat, which is the electrical switch room and the rear torpedo area. There's only one torpedo tube in the aft end. I've left the door open on the tube this time. Hopefully I'll remember to make another torpedo and I can display it as being loaded into the hatch. The build is just the same as you've seen the rest of the compartments going together. It's quite nice, quite nicely detailed in there. Nothing unusual or different from the rest of the compartments. A little bit weathering up with some dust and grime. Just the, as you've seen before, the pigments and the oil washes and such like that. Oil wash on the walls and some streaks and rust in the bilge compartment areas. It's just all about ready to go in now. This will go into the solid, sorry, the clear section of the aft end. The clear section will slide over this. As yet, I'm undecided how I'm going to paint it. I think I will probably paint it with some openings in, not leave it completely clear, give it a bit of detail on the outside of the hull. But that's what I've been doing. It's going to be joined to the rest of the compartments. On that, well, I'll go and show you what we're doing. Okay, from the rear engine, the rear compartment, to the rest of the boat. Let's go and have a look. So what I do first, I thought I'd show you the submarine as it is so far. As I've said, I've completed all the interior sort of compartments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And I've just taken a time out just to sort of check them in the hull, do a little bit of a mock-up just to see what it looks like and really see how big it is. And it's big, and just to see what sort of room I've got left to work with for doing the lighting and running the cables and things like that. So I thought I'd show you as well while it was all mocked up. So I think the only way I could really show this is really to do a bit of a walkabout cam. Now if cam gets a bit wobbly, I'll take it out and show you around the submarine, hopefully trying to keep it in focus as well. This is obviously the first compartment that we ever built. This was the forward torpedo room and crew's quarters, the bunks in there, and moving through, trying to keep it in focus and trying not to catch the cable from the camera. This is, get back into focus, is the officers' sleeping quarters. Through there, remember seeing the toilet. A little bit of a fun picture of Pete from E-Models, an E-Models poster, because all good Germans, they all built their U-boat models from E-Models, Das E-Models. Radio room and sonar compartment, just trying to keep it in focus. As we zoom in and out, it goes out of focus. How far close can we go in? Can we go and see this chap? There he is. I think he's reading his he's reading his book of codes. Well, I think that's what he's reading anyway. I'll move through to the control room. Looks like this guy here is the only guy on board at the moment. Nobody in the control room. Periscope, we worked out that this bit here was the attack periscope. This one, that one, the search periscope. So that's the control room. Bring it back into focus. There we go. Moving through to crew quarters and the galley in there. Some of stores, a little wooden box just at the front, and underneath here is the battery compartment. First set of the batteries, and back through to the last section compartment that we videoed. This was the engine room, looking all nice and ready to run in there. And this is the bit that I showed you before. This is the motor room and the aft torpedoes. And if we come right out, a bit wobbly, just try to focus it so you can see it all. You can really see now how big it is. This is the full length of my workbench from over here. This submarine takes up the complete bench, and there's even a bit missing on the end because I haven't put this aft section on, which is a clear outer hull, which would take it right up to these boxes here. I may have to consider reconfiguring my workbench in the short term just so I could get these on. Right, that's about it. We'll go and get on with the next part of the build, which will be the bridge fin. So we'll get the parts together. I'll clear this off the bench so I've got a bit of room, and we'll get on with it. Okay, see you in a moment. I've got to get this back on there now, otherwise, yeah. Right, wobbly cam. Never mind. Yeah, you don't need to see this. Bye. Right then, so let's get on with this build. This is the section of the boat that's called the conning tower, or the bridge fin. I believe the Americans on their submarines, they call it the sail. So wherever you are in the world, or whatever part of the Navy you're from or in, call it what you want. I'll probably refer to it as the conning tower as I go on. Maybe it might occasionally get referred to as the bridge fin, which is our way of saying things. But obviously the first thing first, have a look through the instructions, find out what parts you're going to need. I always like to get my parts separate out of the box, and that way there's no sort of rummaging around trying to find that missing sprue for the one part that you're always going to need. And I usually get them all out and put to one side. Here's the first one, 2, 3, 4, and there's a clear section as well. We'll talk about that in a moment. As we know right from the start, from when we looked in the box, that Trumpeter do pack their sprues quite nicely. Some bubble wrap and some polystyrene sheeting inside. Leave them in the bags where and when you can. That way, if any parts fall off, as I say, you'll always find them in the bottom of the bag. Unfortunately, I don't always practice what I preach. These parts have been used. Bits have been taken off them already. And in fact, some of these have been sprayed. Just while I had the airbrush out, I took the trouble to spray a few parts just while they were ready. Also, as well, as I've mentioned before, some of the parts are quite fragile on the sprue, so if the sprue gets bent in the wrong way, you're going to end up breaking some of the fragile parts, such as the railings in here. Also, on this part of the build, it's the first time we come across any of the clear parts. There's a clear part sprue just for this, and quite strangely, I don't understand why, but they've cast the periscopes in a clear perspex. And on that note, this is a perspex. This is the first part that we're going to use, which is the opposite side of the conning tower to this bit obviously, a mirror of that. Whereas this is the usual soft styrene plastic, this is more of a perspex. I think if I put something behind it, you can probably see it a little bit better. This is the this is a perspex. Now, what I did notice when I was cutting them off the sprue, this bit here, that when I use the sprue cutters, a new pair I got for Christmas, that it actually started to fracture along the sides of the cut. You could just see down here, just in there, pointy stick time, just in there. I did manage to see it in time of the cut starting to fracture along the line of the cut, and it was working its way up into the bridge fin, into the sheet, into the side of it. Fortunately, I managed to stop. I thought a better way to cut this out would be to use a razor saw. I've got this. This is a 4-2X razor saw I picked up from E-Models. I do have another one in here somewhere. I can't find it now. I should have thought forward and brought it out first. This, I think, is a better way to cut this piece of plastic, this perspex. If you ever come round, whenever you come round to cutting this bit of perspex from the sprues, or later on when we get to the side of the complete casing, we can cut from there. So what I would suggest to do, you can either cut straight from the sprue using your fine tooth saw, cut from there, or you could cut a little bit further along, further back, a long way up the tree, and cut it up there, such as that. That way you're not going to fracture the part you're doing. So just in the case of this, what I would suggest is get a bit of cloth, put it on your bench, and then when you're working, you're not going to slide it all over and scratch it. Haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with this, whether I'm going to paint it, leave it clear, cut a little section out. I usually make it up as I go along, so that's what I'm going to do here. So we've got these bits here to cut off, so I'll get on with cutting them off, and we'll see you later for the next bit as I get everything prepared. See you in a moment. Okay. Okay then, right, where are we up to? First of all, I've gone and painted the interior of the conning tower, the interior of the conning tower. I've also given it a coat of black primer. Give everything on the outside a coat of black primer. I think that's the way I'm going to go, because when it's put into here, it sort of sits about there, I think. Bring in the conning tower deck. That's this bit. That will sit there. That will go into there. Now I'm thinking of putting this clear part over the top of it. Whether or not I leave everything clear, I've undecided at the moment. I'll know by the end of the video what I'm going to do. We'll be back to what you saw at the start of the video when I said this is what we're going to do. That has a clear part to go on there, like that. That will slide on there. I've got to put that on with some clear fix, just to make sure it doesn't fog or anything. It's just like gluing on a canopy really when I do that. Everything else has been primed. One periscope, I think that's the search one, that's the attack one, I think. Which way around they go, I'm not quite sure. We'll sort that out. Black primer, ready to go on. This part as well, generally I'll try and prime up as much as I can. The deck in the instructions tell us that it needs to be grey. It tells us that it wants to be Mr. Hobby 308 grey. Now I think they're asking you to, or they're saying to paint it grey because it would give a black deck a weathered look. So as you probably know, that the deck itself would be a wooden deck, and this part, the top, probably a metal deck as well. Then it would be overpainted with a black non-slip surface, which obviously being a black paint on a submarine would weather over time, and it would sort of go grey. So I'm thinking that's why they've suggested, Trumpeter suggested that we paint it grey. I'm not going to go that way. I think what I'll do, I think I might actually stick to this primer, because it looks a blooming good colour really. I think I'll do the decks throughout the boat on that, and then I'll weather it. Speaking of painting and weathering, it's going to be time to paint the outside of this soon, and I can't wait to get on with that. And what I'm going to use for that, I'm going to use some paints from the Life Colour U-boat, German Navy World War II, for U-boat and surface vessels. There's a selection of colours in here for various eras of the submarine, different types of submarine, which they'll colour, and this one is actually the deck colour. I think prior to painting the decks black, it would have been painted with this, which is UA 612 German Kriegsmarine Tier yeah, deck colour painted. Yeah, I think I'll probably just highlight some of that in the areas around maybe the gun and the conning tower. Sorry, not the conning tower, around the gun and on the deck. I might sort of do some chipping with this, just like patches that it's worn through, but that's to be decided. And then what I've also got from AK Interactive is ships weathering. This is for streaking ground for grey ships, which yeah, will do, because the top of the submarine is in a grey, so that should be alright in there. There's the rest of the colours in here for the anti-fouling, the blue anti-fouling, which I think is going to be 607. That one. German Kriegsmarine Schiffs Bodenfarbe Grau. Yeah, you know what it is. Yeah, ship's anti-fouling. That'll do. Right. One point I must mention before we move on and get on to the next section is the conning tower. If you're going to light this boat, we've been speaking about lighting and things as we've been going on. If you're going to light it, now is the time to get the lighting in this. I'll get one of Jennifer's little LED SMDs. Need to drill a hole. There is actually a light fitting in here. But I've been taking them out and replacing them with the LEDs. Now what we need to do with this is check first, because there is limited room when it's fit in here. Just let the white balance come back. There is limited room under there to get any lighting in, so it's really going to have to go in now. So drill a hole, do away with the light fitting in there, drill a hole, and then we can drop the light in. Just poke it through there and feed it down the back with a touch of super glue. A little bit of hot glue will do this job just as well. This is the thick super glue, so it takes 30-40 seconds to fit, and then the conning tower deck can go on there like that. That way we can make sure, if you could see, that way we can make sure that the light fitting is in. If you're not doing this, you don't need to worry, just that if you are, it needs to go in. It'll be less of a struggle. If I can get my hands out of the way now, it'll be less of a struggle to get that light in there before you put the conning tower together. Right, everything else is primed up. Time to go and get this all together and move on to the next bit. See you in a moment. Right then, we're about at the stage now to start painting the conning tower. I thought I'd come back and show you it all sort of temporarily fixed together. That's what all the masking tape is, and what I've decided to do about the internals. This bit here will be masked over eventually, shortly, and become a viewing window through the main part of the clear side of the conning tower. The rest will be painted. You can see into the conning tower by looking at the top, and there's not really a lot to see other than the access here. All this is just in darkness, so it's painted black, so I thought it would look a bit better painting it that way. What I've done as well, now I've got the lighting installed, and hopefully you could see it a little bit better in there. It's really a bit difficult to film this, and this is only the conning tower. How I'm going to film the whole submarine when it's all together, I have absolutely no idea. Periscopes, as we know, as I've worked out, this is the search periscope, and this one here is the attack periscope. They're not glued in yet, they're just held in by tape. This periscope itself has been fit and painted with true metal, AK true metal. Remember, we used the same thing on the torpedoes right at the start. This is steel and gives a cracking job in there. If I can move this just back a little bit and try and keep it in focus, I'm just trying to show you the tops are painted in a grey. Now then, in working out how far up or down to paint this grey, if you look at the the periscope shaft itself, it actually just starts to turn in at the top. So take your top grey paint down and look very carefully, and just at the point where it starts to turn in, try to get back into a bit of focus for you. Just at the top in there where it starts to turn in, that's the point where you need to mask off for your paint, for your grey paint. Same on the search periscope, that works that way as well. The aft cannon, the aft gun, may have seen in the earlier videos, earlier on in this video even, I had a basket on it. This is a photo etch basket. It's a real pain to make, and I did make it and I did prime it ready for painting. Then I decided I wasn't going to use it. As somebody pointed out, there's no evidence and there's no pictures of U-boats having these catching nets on the guns, and yeah, quite rightly, I had a look around too. I can't find them, so I've took it off. Saves painting it. I think it actually looks a little bit better as well without it. Yeah, so that's going to be painted as well. I put it on this little box because when the whole thing's assembled, there are bits stick out at the bottom in there. So rather than it falling over and such, I've just cut a hole in the bottom of the box just so I can sit it in there. The colours, yeah, as I showed you before, I'll be using the life colour, the German Navy life colour set, and also about painting it, the decks and things like that, whether it be wood, whether it be steel, I don't really know. I have found a fantastic link about U-boat colours. I'll put it down here or up here or wherever. I'll put it somewhere on the screen. Oops. I'll put it somewhere on the screen, and I'll also try and remember to put it in the description as well. There's a link to painting U-boat colours. There's a wealth of information in there. It's all about weathering submarines. It's all about U-boat colours. It's all about the number and types of freeing vents in the hull to paint. There's a submarine going past now. Look, there's a boo, boo. Yeah. there's a lot of information in there, so it might be useful to some of you that want to carry on painting. It's mainly aimed at the Revell kit, but I'm sure everything can transpose across to this one as well. As for the hull itself, I'll just get this bit out of the way because I've got no room on my bench, so everything will go white for the moment. Look at that. Just get that out of the way and find the hull. I'll get the hull out. Right, here's the hull. You can see now I've gone and cut out all the freeing ports, all the vents, such like that, under here as well. I'm not going to cut them out on the clear parts because I think that will create too much of an issue with the fragile plastic, the perspex. I'll just cut them out on the soft styrene. It does take an age to do, so be patient. I'm not going to cut the ones out on the top, I'll just colour them. Be patient. Some of these vents are really tiny, and as I say, on that link that I posted up, it will tell you all about the correct positioning and sizes and formations of these vents. That's if you want to take it that far. By the time somebody had pointed out to me that that article was actually there, because I'd never actually read it all, I'd only read the painting, I'd mostly gone and cut most of these vents out, but I think it's fairly accurate anyway. What I did do with these, I did start cutting them out. Find somewhere to prop this up. I did start and cut them out by hand with a file and a drill and such like that, but you can find on the internet on the selling sites and things like that, dental drills, dental burrs, and these are a lifesaver. They will cut the time in less than half. Use them with a Dremel or similar type drill. Hold them in with a collar, but yeah, they work really well. Or another thing, if you can't find them on the internet, if you are having a visit to the dentist, these things are one shot. Try and keep it in focus a bit, come in a bit and focus it up. These things are one shot use, so when you go to the dentist, he'll use these type of things on your teeth and then throw them away. So you could ask if you could have the ones that he's just used on you, clean them up, boil them, and ready to use for cutting the freeing ports out in the Submarine. Yeah, right, time to go get some paint on now. Reading through that article, it tells me what colours to paint and things like that. If you want to, just go by the Trumpeter colours and the colour call outs. If you don't and you want to be more accurate, have a read of that article and see what bits of it you like and what you don't. But I'm going to go on. I think these free ports are the main ballast, the main blow valves. Somebody might correct me, but I think that's what they are. So they'd be closed if it was on the surface. Right, go get it done. Go get some paint and such on the superstructure. Oh, that's a point to point out here as well. If you are, I'll come back in a minute. Hang on, bear with me. I'm here. Right, if you are going to leave this part clear, when you put the conning tower together, the bridge fin, it tells you in the instructions to glue these bits on. Not quite sure what they are, or I think they're just part of the bridge strengthening. Remember, if you're leaving this part clear, remember to paint the inside of this one. Paint it black or something, otherwise you'll have a grey interior. So don't forget that one. That's if you're leaving the whole part clear. These around the edges, these wooden blocks, it does tell you to paint them brown in the instructions and paint them a wood colour. They're actually to stop the crew freezing to the edges of the conning tower. That's what they're for. Just obviously the wood doesn't freeze as easily, but it stops the crew freezing to the metal. But yeah, in that link, talking about a lot about that link now. Yeah, these are actually painted black, the same as the deck colour down there, same as the deck. Right, now time to take it all apart, mask this off, and go get some paint on it, and it'll look a world of difference when we come back. Yeah. Boo. Boo. Right, just a quick update as we're passing by the spray booth. Lots of things on sticks as they get sprayed. I'm just really going over them first in a primer, and then I'll be painting them with the appropriate colours. In the meantime, I should probably just point out what I'm going to do with the superstructure. Is I'm going to, well, I have post shaded it. As you know, that's just a simple way of highlighting the sort of joins or areas on the boat that will be all riveted together, the plates, and that will be pulled in. If not so much the edge of the plate, just the rivet detail as well, so we can use that as that. I've gone on, the clear side is now painted. The masking's under here, that's all to come off yet. See here on the back side. I maybe just can't quite differentiate the colours at the moment between the primer and the top grey. I've had a look at that link that I posted up earlier, and it tells me that Eric Tropp's U552, it actually refers to the Submarine in the text. It says that the interior of the conning tower was painted a dark grey. So I've used the which one was it now? I can't remember. Camouflage Series 610 German Kriegsmarine Dunkelgrau 52. I can't remember the German for 52. I did do German at school, although you wouldn't know it. But that's what that is. It's on there. It'll probably come out a little bit better once we get the base colour on here and get it all put together. Right, back to the spray booth while this is all drying, preparing for the next stage, and I'll give it a wash, sorry, not a wash, I'll give it light coats of a UA 608 from Life Colour, or German Kriegsmarine Schlickgrau. Right, I'll go and have a look at my German pronunciation as well. Bye. Okay, right, here we are back from the spray booth. We're almost ready to start and put everything together now. Everything's been sprayed and prepared and ready to go together. The only thing I can find about the paint guide, the call outs for the ones that Trumpeter have suggested, is that the colours themselves in the colour call outs are a little bit misleading, because they'll show something in here that's white, and then they'll label it grey. So yeah, it's a little bit misleading. What I've done, I've sort of mixed and matched the two colours to what looks good, rather than maybe historically accurate. I've taken, for instance, I haven't gone with the white, the same colour as the interior here. I have gone, well, I'll show you really. I've gone with the black deck. Actually, this is, if I can reach over for it without knocking the camera, the black decks, and I think I'll be doing the same on the main deck of the Submarine. The black deck is actually primer. the ultimate primer. It looks brilliant. It's hard, it goes on, it lays down smooth, it's rock hard. I can't really see a problem with it. I think I'll just leave it as it is. Once it's had a coat of matte varnish at the end to flatten it all down, it'll protect it. I've given the control room access, to say the white, the light grey as used in the interior, because it makes it pop a little bit. And then the rest of it I've done in the colours that were suggested on that link. German Schlickelgrau, is that right? And yeah, it's sort of give it a nice bit of a contrast. It's a little bit difficult to try and show you on the camera, the contrast and colours. Hopefully you can get that, and it's all coming together nice. I've obviously just masked everything off so I didn't catch anything with overspray as I sprayed it on. The next bit that we've done is the conning tower sides themselves. Now this Schlickelgrau, is that what? Yeah, Schlickgrau. It's quite a strange colour. It gives it a green sort of tinge, but then again you look at it again and it's grey. Really odd, but it looks, yeah, it looks nice. Just trying to get this, yeah, hopefully we're staying in focus. We've reached the stage now where we need to put the decals on. Eric Top, Red Devil signature, his mascot on the conning tower, the bridge fin. These are really difficult to do. Hopefully come back, yeah. These are really difficult to do because they're not on a solid backing film. They are close cut, so all the arms and the legs and the tail, especially the tail, are all loose cut, close cut. So what I've done with it, I did try to film it, but all you can see is the backs of my hands as I'm trying to get it on and swearing. What I've done with it, soaked it in some warm water as normal, putting the decals on, and then put a puddle of water on here, slid the decal onto the puddle of water, and then straightened everything out. It does take a bit of patience. And then once I've got everything straight, I've got a cotton bud and soaked up the excess water, and it's lowered the decal onto the surface. And then just a final touch up with a soft paintbrush, just to touch it up, get it in the right position, and we're done. Needed to put it on first because we need to put it on at this stage because there are some handrails that actually go over the figure. Get these on here, something like that. This is one for the other side, I think. So some handrails to go in there like that, so that the decal is actually underneath the rail. So these need to go on fairly soon. So there's the other side, there's the two of them. Put them together like that. Now there is going to be a little bit of a gap. Well, there's going to need to be some touching up and filling in this, because there's a little bit of a gap here. There's a couple of ways we could do that. We can fill it, which I'll probably do anyway, and then try and touch the paintwork up, or as I've seen somebody else on the internet is doing an excellent job of this Submarine as well. He's actually filled it in and then disguised it with some rust streaks down there, so that should hopefully fill in for that. So we'll work out a way of doing that. But the next stage we need to do is fit the other handrail on this side. So we get to the stage now. A stage I always like in building models is the peeling off of the masking tape. Now, as you know, what we've done with this, painted the whole side, painted the clear painted the clear side, and now we can come to take off the masking tape and see if it's all worked. Hopefully it has. We need to take it off because we need to get this handrail across. So right, the great unveil. You've seen this. Obviously I haven't taken it off, so if there's any paint leaks, yeah, we'll do it all live. What I've used some masking tape first to go around the edges and then just filled in the big bits, and I've used some electrician's tape to do that. Looking good so far. This black strip here is the grey, the same grey that's gone on the inside of the conning tower, and as you can see here I've used the black primer as well for those wooden boards. The black strip, I understand it's there because it stops the boots from the sailors marking the conning tower. But no, that's where it goes. Right, so using my nails. Using my nails rather than using tweezers with a risk of scratching the perspex. Just a touch of overspray in there, just where the rivets are, but I think we can live with that. So bring the conning tower back and we'll strip the masking off that as well. It's like Christmas, isn't it, when you take masking off, unwrapping everything just to make sure that there's no surprises of missed paint and overspray or paint's leaked under the masking tape. As I always do, I usually just use the masking tape just to mask off the intricate parts, and then just use a filler, sometimes just use paper or something like that, standard household masking tape to mask off the biggest pieces. Saves the masking, saves your Tamiya tape and such. And this final one just at the top. There, we're done. So this will then sit in there like that. Let's just move the camera back just a touch for you. And just a bit of jiggery pokery to get it in to fit somewhere like that, and there we now have a little viewing window so we can see inside the conning tower. Obviously it's not lit up yet, but it's now time, I think, that we can go and finally put this together for one last time with glue and finish it out. It's a bit fiddly, so I'll go get this done. Then we'll come back for the closing bits, I would think, because we're probably just about finished then. If there's anything that comes to light, I'll tell you. Right, fiddle with this a bit more and go back in a moment. Okay then. Well, each time I complete a section of this submarine, it seems like I have to move the camera further and further back from the bench to enable me to get everything in. That is the conning tower finished. Goes together really easily. The only thing that you've got to watch for is that you need to make sure that you get the deck fitting in correctly with the grooves inside the conning tower. Otherwise what happens is you get to leave a rather ugly seam down the front of the conning tower. It will leave a seam anyway because that's where the two parts join, but the better you can make it when it goes together, the less cleaning you're going to have to do to clean up. Nothing else of importance that came up. I did forget to put that bit in, so I managed to remember to do it before the glue dried, so I just had to prise the top of the conning tower apart, slide it in, but it went in okay. Nothing else of note. I think I've mentioned that I've already taken the basket off that because I can't find any pictures of a gun with a basket on. The rails, take your time with the railings. They will go in fairly easily, but they're very, very fragile and need just to take your time and patience with it. But otherwise, the conning tower on this submarine goes together brilliantly, and I think it makes a superb model in its own right. If you did away with that and didn't have the internals, yeah, you could make a nice little diorama, or you could just put it on a nice plinth, a nice piece of wood, and just display it as that with the periscopes up. But nothing else remarkable. It goes together really easily. Nice colour scheme. As I say, we've done it with the life colours. I know that the call outs call for light grey, but yeah, I think this colour looks actually a little bit more authentic than maybe the grey does. And it's my submarine. Yeah, I'll paint it how I want. You can tell them. Yeah, it's yeah. But I think that looks quite right. And there's nothing to say that U552 wasn't painted in these colours sometime throughout its career, as you'll find from that link that I put up. I must remember to do that. Right. The other thing that I'm missing from here is two life belts, the orange ones on each side. Usually the submarines, when they go to sea, they wouldn't have them there. They just use them or put them there for being in port and manoeuvring around ports and things like that. Because I would have thought that if they'd have been there once they've dived, they'd just float away. So that's it. There is the conning tower, another part done from U552. Now you see on the light how it changes, how the colour changes. No, it's not quite doing it. But anyway, there we go. Right, that's it. Next time, when we come back for the next video, we'll have a look at starting some weathering. We'll do the weathering on the conning tower, and then I think we can almost look to get into the stage of putting the compartments inside the pressure hull. Sorry, not the pressure hull, that is the pressure hull. We can look to putting the compartments in the outer casing. So that's the next stage. Until then, it's me, Ted, at eModels, emodels.co.uk, and we'll see you next time. Okay, there we go, making a lot of noise. Bye now. Bye.